Well, you know, on the heels of President Obama's job speech tonight, a lot of people in Central Ohio, actually a lot of people all over the country, are struggling with trying to get that job and keep that job. Mike Harris is with us right now. He's actually an expert on the job interview, the most important part next to deciding what job you want, the most important part of the job searching process. And you have 6 tips for us. A lot of people, when they go into that interview, they just sit there and answer the questions, and you're walking a fine line between saying too much and saying too little. Tell us what we should do.
You're absolutely right. And keep in mind, people are maybe going to have 5 or 6 jobs in their career, and they don't do a lot of interviewing, so they're not comfortable with it. And here's what I want, these 6 tips, what I want to let, and set the people up so that they're going to be effective. Number 1, do yourself a favor. Plan on getting there 30 minutes early. You don't want to be running into you're stressed or you worry about getting there on time or being late. This gives you the opportunity to sit down, get yourself composed.
It also gives you that cushion if something goes wrong. Actually, my first job in television, I left probably an hour early to get there. My car broke down on the way to the interview. I was able to still get there on time because I'd left an hour early.
Mike, I left an hour early to get here. You learned that there are no good reasons to be late. And also, that means 15 minutes before the interview is, you should let them know that you're here. That's the very first impression you're giving to people, to say, this is important to me and this matters. So that lets them know, which moves you into the second tip. You want to make sure when you go into that interview, I tell people to bring a handkerchief. You're going to be a little nervous, a little sweaty, give that a little squeeze. When you go in, you meet them, shake them, look them in the eye, and introduce yourself. But when you dress for an interview, dress conservatively. You don't want to go in there wearing a lot of jewelry, a lot of makeup, the hair. You don't want what you're wearing to be the distraction. It is all about you. So you want to keep it very conservative.
Try to be the best dressed person in the room.
You are. You really do. Because that is the first visual impression that you're giving of them, which moves us into the third, which is the interview, and that's the meat of it. Know you're going to be nervous. We want you and we expect you to have questions. Have those questions written down, otherwise you're going to forget them. Here's what people do in an interview. They treat it like a first date. They're afraid to ask the wrong questions, or afraid to say they're too cautious. That is the only interview you're guaranteed. So make sure, I tell people, ask everything you want to ask and say everything you want to say, and that's what will separate you from the rest of the candidates. Bringing us to tip number 4. People lately have been coming in with brag books, or they have a letter recommendation awards. We get it. Don't show us a lot. Remember your audience. Every time you show me something, you're taking the focus away at our eye contact. Show me something, bring me right back to it. Otherwise, if you start showing me a lot of multiple things, I'm going to start shaking my head and you're going to lose me. 5th, you've done everything you needed to in that interview. You got there early, you had your questions, you engaged them in a conversation. You want to make sure you ask for that second interview. We're probably not going to commit to it, but that allows the opportunity to ask about the time frame, the method, what's going to go on, reiterate your interest in the position, the strong points about yourself, and then move into what is the process.
And who should do the follow-up? Should you make the call or wait on them to make the call?
No, you absent. Here's what you do. You want to make sure in that final, you ask for their business card. Why? Because on every business card is going to be an email address. If they don't have one, then write them a note. But 1 to 2 hours after you leave that interview, you want to have written them an email that says this, Mike: I want to thank you for the opportunity to meet with me today. I'm very interested. I'm really looking forward to this opportunity. Here are my strong points. Looking forward to hearing from you again as we move off in the process. So now, from the beginning, when you arrived early, met them, to the post-interview, you've touched them in a professional manner.
Mike, I want to thank you. These are good tips that I hope people are listening to, because we all know there's some people out there that need jobs.
Absolutely, a lot of them.
All right, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay, we're going to